Dr. Alise brings her knowledge, experience, and sense of humor to each show while introducing you to guests from all over the world who are experts in the fields of spirituality, energy healing, holistic wellness, alternative medicine, and nutrition. Call in with your questions or share some of your own experiences in connection with your intuition and emotional healing. The Alise Intuition Radio Show starts now. Here's your host, Dr. Alise.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Season 3 of the Alise Intuition Radio Show. I'm your host, Dr. Alise, and I help people heal their emotional bodies, connect to their intuition, and discover their life purpose through my own intuition as I am guided by spirit. Our Spiritual Healing and Wellness Center is dedicated to helping individuals realize their full potential through their body, mind, and spirit by providing spiritual education, guidance, healing, and transformation through various digital platforms. You can find us at www.alisehealingcenter.com. Today, we have Hollywood Hypnotist Kevin Stone here to discuss how to use hypnotherapy to help you with your life purpose. But before we get into the show today, let me share a little bit about Kevin Stone with you. Hollywood Hypnotist Kevin Stone is an international renowned expert, master hypnosis, and America's most trusted and awarded hypnosis. You may have seen Hollywood Hypnotist Kevin Stone on MTV's hit show Teen Mom OG, The Tyra Banks Show, Extra, Celebrity Fit Club, Good Morning Live, Good Morning LA, heard on the radio or read about in all of the major papers and magazines of the world. He has been a consultant as well as opening shows for the band Starship and featured in articles for Cosmetology, Star, The Globe, People, the Los Angeles Times, and many more. So, on that note, let's welcome Hollywood Hypnotist Kevin Stone to the Alise Intuition Radio Show. Hello, Kevin.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be listening to this amazing program. Hello, everyone.
Hi. So welcome to the show. We always ask our guests, at what point did your intuition kick in? And during this time in your life, what did it tell you?
Excellent question. That kicked in very, very early as a young boy. And I was a little confused about it because I didn't really understand it and really wasn't in touch with it. And so I started to explore many different avenues of mind, how the mind works, how the body works, how all these things really work, and just watching others do it and just thought, okay, I need to know more of how to do this because I'm not alone. And everyone can get in touch with their intuition. It's just that you need the tool or the technique to do that, and just be still. And so that's what I did, and I started to learn that I had this ability like everyone else does, and I started to nurture that and let it grow and manifest into what it is today as the Hollywood hypnotist, and all of those. Every time I it's kind of funny because every time I listen to the intros, I reflect back on all of those accolades and how they transformed themselves and how it became, because it's not something I really think about. And so when I listen back to it, I go, wow, that's pretty impressive stuff right there. And so I continue on that journey and to continue to enlighten people, uplift, and inspire them to really get in touch with their intuition, their higher power, their sixth sense, and hypnosis is the tool to really help you to get centered with that.
Okay, so before we just get into the show, can you just give us your own definition of what hypnosis is? Because depending on our audience's background, they may or may not be familiar with it.
Absolutely. All hypnosis is self-hypnosis. It's an organic, natural process that takes place every single day, and it happens about 1,000 times a day on average, and we go in and out of it. And that's how natural it really is. Real common forms of hypnosis, what I like to call freeway hypnosis, highway hypnosis, kind of up on the highway, freeway, driving along, feeling good, big smile on your face, arm out the window, listening to the radio, especially this program, and you're feeling good. And then you realize your exit was about 3 exits back somewhere. That's a common form. Other common forms, childbirth, yoga, karate, watching a good movie, reading a good book, sitting in a classroom, just zoning out. Remember that when we were children or in college, just not really paying attention? That's all hypnosis. And so that's that higher awareness, focused, concentrated state. Everybody has a label for it, but when you really get in touch with that power, that's the state of hypnosis. And it's that natural, that organic, and everyone can do it.
Okay. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. So does hypnotism have a long-lasting effect if it's used for weight loss or to stop smoking?
It depends on the individual because, again, like in life, there's always temptations around us. And so when we make that choice to allow that temptation to overcome us and to put us back into that place where we don't want to be, then, yeah, they have to come back in for that little bit of a refresher. Or, you know, what I do is I teach them techniques where they can do it themselves. But most people prefer to call me and they like to do the one-on-one with me. And so it really depends on the individual and what happens with that person. Most of the time, I would say a good 95%, once you have the issue removed from your mind system, it's gone. That's it, done. So with weight loss, smoking, that's it. It's over. And I'll share a story with you very quickly of something that just happened. It's a story I love to share because it was a very powerful process. And people always get wowed and amazed by it, and so do I, because I think in this particular forum that I was at, it's kind of difficult to really allow the change to take place. But, you know, I've been doing this for 25 years, so I've seen the changes take place not only in my lectures, but in my own private practice and in my comedy stage hypnosis shows, because I do both. I have a big clinic in Beverly Hills where, again, I'm known as the hypnotist of the stars, the Hollywood Hypnotist. But I also do comedy stage hypnosis shows all over the world and lectures for colleges, companies, et cetera, et cetera. And so I did an event this past holiday season, and it was for a very big major company that all of us deal with every single day, and it begins with an A. I won't mention who the company is, but I think you can pretty much figure out because they have free shipping and all that wonderful stuff if you're a Prime member. And so we did a big event for them, and it was about 3,500 people. And basically how it went was, and I was hired to do my comedy stage hypnosis show. And I'll talk more about that a little bit later if we have time, because that's how I got introduced in college to hypnosis. And so we'll talk about that more later, hopefully. But anyway, so this gentleman came up on stage. I didn't know who he was. Again, there's 3,500 people. There's lots of important people there, lots of regular people. To me, everyone's the same. And so he came up on the stage, and he sat on the far right of me. And, look, I've been doing this for 25 years all over the world. And he had me laughing. I thought this was great. You know, he was just having a good time with hypnosis like you should. And at the end of the program, like everyone knows, I give some very powerful suggestions to help them in their lifestyles. Now, I have to know what the issues are, but I give those suggestions that people change their lives. So this is basically what happened, long story short. So he basically, after the program, says to me, hey, can I borrow the microphone? I want to talk to the audience. And I went, well, it's not very appropriate. So I looked over to the person who brought me into the program, and she looked at me with bug eyes and said, yeah, go ahead and give him the microphone. This was the man, the CEO of this particular company, and I didn't know that. So he basically gets on the microphone and he says to everyone, he says, listen, I didn't want to come up here. I was a skeptic. I wasn't sure of what was going to happen. I've never really experienced it. I've seen this before, but I didn't want to really be involved with it. My wife had seen the Hollywood Hypnotist just recently on television, and so she knew what was going to happen. I didn't, but I'll tell you this. I had the best time. I ever had in my life. I'm so relaxed. I feel so good right now. And Kevin gave us all some very powerful suggestions while we were in hypnosis to change one thing in our lives. And that thing that I changed today, as you all know, and he reaches into his pocket, he pulls out a fresh pack, non-filter cigarettes, and he crumbles them up, throws them to the floor, and says, after 40 years, I am now a non-smoker. So those are the things that can happen with hypnosis, and even in a stage comedy hypnosis show where it's not a formal hypnotherapy setting, but with the right hypnotist, you can make those changes in your life.
Wow, that's powerful.
Absolutely.
Wow.
That's the power. That is the power of suggestion. And that's how powerful it works. And that's why it's every single day in our lives that it's all around us. That's why, Alise, you're wearing the different type of clothing you're wearing, jewelry. Your listeners are buy different products. They have different clothing and jewelry, the same thing, because we're all suggestible to different types of commercialism, which is all around us, which is flooding our minds every single day with social media, radio, television, and so we become suggestible to that particular product. Why? Because they're utilizing the organic, natural process of suggestibility called hypnosis to sell a product. And then before you know it, you're attracted to that product, and you're in the store and you're buying it, and then you don't even really know why. And you take it home, and you're like, oh, okay, I just bought this. Okay. That's like a lot of people have, when they get a credit card bill, they go, whoa, what just happened here? I didn't realize I spent $2,000 on my credit card. Why? Because you got lost in the moments of the suggestibility while you were in the store. You didn't realize how much you were buying until you get the actual bill and then realize in shock that you spent $2,000. And that happens to people all day, all the time.
Yeah, what's in your wallet?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so is there any chance that someone could go wrong during the hypnotism and backfire on your client? Yeah.
That's a common concern and a common question that I get in all interviews. And for 25 years, I think that question's come up. So it's an excellent question, Alise. And, again, that's what people see on TV and the movies. And I'm a big part of that, too, because, I'm the Hollywood Hypnotist. So when they call for consulting or want hypnosis in a movie or a television show, I'm the one they call, right? And so I try to tell them, look, I know you need to sensationalize this for dramatic purposes and dramatic license for what you're trying to do, but that's not the reality of hypnosis. And so it continues to educate people watching that's what they think hypnosis does, that, oh, my gosh, you're going to get stuck in hypnosis and you can't come out of it, or someone's going to backfire, or something, you're going to program me to do something I'm not able to do. And, that's just not possible. It's just not a reality. I tell people all the time, very jokingly, that, look, if it did actually work like that, Alise, then I wouldn't have to do this interview. I wouldn't have to work for a living. I just go down to the bank this afternoon, hypnotize all the tellers, put money in the money bags, drop it in my car, speed off, and I'm wealthy for as long as I need to be. So it just doesn't work that way. And so I encourage people that what you see on TV and in the movies is not what actually happens in reality. It just doesn't work that way. Because if it did, a lot of people would be abusing it and using it in a negative way to achieve things in their lives that they don't deserve. And so it's not a power that can be accessed that way. It's just not possible.
Thank you so much for clarifying that, because, a lot of people associate hypnosis with something that is dark, and that's not true.
Absolutely, and that's kind of, I'll share this with you. That's kind of what happened to me earlier in my career. And like I said, I've been doing this for 25 years. So when I first went into hypnotism, I went to college for this. And there is a college that actually teaches you this, and you get college credit for it. And it's a college I went into because I wanted to continue to work on my degrees. And I thought, well, I've always had an interest as a boy, like I mentioned earlier in the program. And I wanted to get more in touch with my sixth sense, my higher power, my intuition, and this was a tool that I understood that it could do that, but I never really had a lot of time to study it and really get into it because I was brought up the same way. I come from New England, and I come from a very conservative area, and I was brought up as a Catholic boy. And so all of this was the dark arts. Any mention of it was taboo, and it was just, stay away from it. Well, I, again, think that everyone should stay open-minded and at least explore, negative or positive, just to understand for themselves. So that way when they are able to speak about it, they have a true platform of where they're coming from, and they're very sincere, and they have knowledge about it instead of what they think they've seen on television or seen in the movies or something to that effect. And that goes for everything. I think everyone should do their own homework and come up with their own choices, because that's what God gives us free will and free choice. And so it's your duty and responsibility and obligation to not take what everyone else is saying about it, but to really explore it for yourself and understand it. So that's what I did. And I went to college for this. And I thought the same thing going in. I really didn't think it was real. I thought it just was what I had seen in college and stage hypnosis shows, and I just thought, it's all for that type of purpose, and there's some darkness to it because that's what I was taught and believed as a boy, and I thought, okay, I'm going to check this out. And I had a great motivating factor because I was getting college credit for it too. So I said, okay, I have nothing to lose. So I went in, and what made me a believer, Alise, was this. I watched a complete, at one of the most famous hospitals in the world right here in Beverly Hills, Los Angeles, is the Cedars-Sinai Hospital. I'm sure everybody's heard about it on the news. A lot of celebrities go there. It's a very prestigious hospital, and they have the best of the best. And so what I ended up doing, went on a field trip with the school, the class, and we were told we were going to watch a complete C-section under hypnosis. No epidural, no drugs, no nothing. This was all hypnosis, and she was to have this baby. And we're like, I'm one of the class clowns in the back with a couple of buddies. And we're kind of like, yeah, whatever, right, sure, this is not going to happen. How could this be? Well, long story short, the doctor comes in. Now, she had already been prepped for like 6 sessions prior to this. So she comes up, the doctor comes in, and he basically hypnotizes her within like 5 minutes. And all of a sudden, we're waiting, and all of a sudden, here comes the baby. And here we are watching, like, those two-way mirrors like you see in the detective rooms and police departments and stuff. Behind the glass. And so here it starts to happen, and not a movement, nothing, no sign of pain, discomfort, or stress coming from this particular patient. And she was given the suggestion if she felt any discomfort at all, she was to let out a opera note because she was a famous opera singer. And so she didn't do any of that. She just basically lied there. She wasn't sleeping because hypnosis is not sleep, but she was in this very, very focused, higher awareness state of mind and just allowed the process to take effect. And that's how my jaw dropped down to the floor that day. And I went, wow, this is powerful. And so we went back to class. And the first thing I stopped doing was biting my nails. I let somebody hypnotize me, stop biting my nails. And there was many, many changes that I made during that process of me being educated through the hypnosis and learning it. And here I am today helping people, inspiring people, uplifting people, and changing people's lives with the applications of hypnosis.
Wow. So
yes.
What is the strangest thing you have ever hypnotized someone for, and did it work?
Alise, I don't call them strange because I'm a therapist, and I think all therapists or people in the holistic medical field or in the medical field in general, or even in the spiritual field, right, of where you're at and the listeners of this radio program, there's nothing weird to me. There's nothing bizarre. I don't judge it in that way. I'm a healer, and I help people, and I'm a guide. I'm a person who helps somebody to get to their goals. I give them the tools. I guide them to where they need to go. I don't have the power. I don't have the ability. It's all within oneself, and I help them to go where they need to go. And so I've seen a lot of very traumatic things for people that most people would think that's not that big a deal to them. But it's really the eye of the beholder in one's perception of where they're at. And so I've treated so many different things with hypnosis and been extremely successful. Again, that's why I've become the Hollywood Hypnotist, because my reputation got out and everyone started to realize, wow, who is this guy? And so, I have these gifts and abilities ordained by God. It's not something that I produced, and I'm not able to produce without God's ability and power. So my spirituality is really key in this whole thing. And so to answer the question, I've done all kinds of things that originally, again, when I was still naive and young and trying to build my private practice, I started seeing some things that I thought, wow, this is interesting and very, very challenging. How am I going to help this person to, for example, stop using vulgarity? That was one of the things that came to me. And I thought, what? What? What does that mean? Why does people want to do that? Well, you can see that. There's a video of it. Because that particular person happens to be a major celebrity, and it happens to be on YouTube, and it was happened to be for their show, and we were able to record it, and so it's documented, and so I can talk about it. And so go to my website, hypnotist.com, and pull up the YouTube channel, and you can see all the videos of a lot of the interesting things that I've been able to work on and with a lot of the celebrities, because, again, they're like everyone else, Alise. We're people, and everyone has issues in their lives, and it could be as extreme as I want to stop using vulgarity all the way to what we consider, serious issues of pain management or weight loss or smoking or cancer. I can go on and on with the list of what the applications are that hypnosis is very instrumental and very powerful in helping people to help themselves.
Wow. Wow, I bet you that was pretty difficult to help someone get rid of word enhancers. Oh, my gosh.
Yes. Yeah, go check out that video. It's actually pretty humorous. And then actually, again, it was my first time at it. And, of course, I've treated several occasions with that after the fact because of that particular program, because it is an issue and is a real issue in people's lives and people's families. And I never really thought about that or considered that, but that's what ends up happening when you become a healer, when you become, a guide, and God has appointed you as your role to, help people to help themselves. And so then you start to see a lot of, very interesting things in people's lives that are very traumatic, that are holding them back from their success or sabotaging them from where they need to go. And so once they recognize, and, that's the first step to any healing process, is you have to recognize what it is. You have to come to terms with it. You have to look in the mirror and you have to say to yourself, this is what my issues are. Now I need to find the tools to help me to overcome these things, and I have to find the right person who's going to give me those tools. And that's how simple it really is.
Wow.
I think we overcomplicate life. We make life more complex than what it really is because we overthink. That little voice inside of our head, that little doubtful voice, the one that talks us out of stuff every single day, that's the voice that you need to get in control. And hypnosis is that tool to really help us to stay focused. Athletes call it the zone. Some people call it the higher power. Some people call it intuition. Everyone has a label for it. But then at the end of the day, I call it hypnosis. At the end of the day, it's all about that focus, that higher awareness, and just staying in tune, in touch, and not allowing any distraction to waver you, to put you into a place where you don't want to be.
You said something very powerful. You said that you're using your gifts that have been ordained by God. That's
Absolutely.
Powerful.
Absolutely.
So thank you for clarifying that and letting everyone know that you are a divine instrument that the Spirit is using to help them on their life's journey.
Amen. Amen, sister, because that is exactly where the absolute higher power is. Now, hypnosis is a very powerful tool, and there's a lot of powerful tools that God has given us here on this earth, but you have to understand where they come from and why they exist. And it's no one being or entity that possesses that. That's called ego. That's called pride. That's called self-centeredness, all of that. And so you have to really understand what your role is and where this gift and these abilities are coming from, because we all have them. And God gives us those gifts. And most people are unaware of what they are because they never ask God for what they are. They get distracted with the world and the day-to-day, and they forget and they get frustrated, and then they accumulate issues in their lives, and they don't realize that all of these things are manifested because they've been open to the negative and not the positive, and keeping their eye on the prize, which is Jesus Christ and God himself.
Wow. See, I know the Spirit sent you to this show because that's what we are about, is helping people understand that connecting to your intuition is really how you're going to find out who you are and why you're here. So thank you so much for sharing that information with us. A question came up as you were talking. Can hypnotism help someone with phobias or anxiety attacks get over those things?
Oh, absolutely. That's the easy stuff, just like the smoking and the weight, which most hypnotists are known for, which is smoking and weight. But through the years, it's become expanded as a generalization for fears and phobias, anxiety and stress. And so, yeah, those are the common things that, again, when people call up hypnotists, they're looking for. Unless they call a specialist like me, it's different. I mean, yes, I still work with those things, and those are very common in our lives every single day. But people go a little bit deeper in their lives to say, look, I want to make these changes because I've really confronted them, and they go, okay, and they're honest with them, and so now they go, I want to stop using vulgarity, or I want to do, this fear or this phobia. And so, yes, absolute positively, hypnosis is one of the number one resources and tools to overcome the fears and the phobias. It's surprising as well with that, because, so again, you get the calls and people are afraid of sugar. And you think, wow, you're afraid of sugar. Yeah, it's not common, but it is common. And so that's some of the things that you get, not the generalizations of spiders, snakes, and all of those things that we know, right? And we could be afraid of or have a phobia with. But you get the odd things like sugar, or I'm afraid of keys and I can't put a key in a keyhole. Those are things that you get, and it's quite interesting because you think, okay, but it all traces back to this, Alise. It's all behavior is learned behavior. So if it was learned, then you can unlearn it. And so that's what hypnosis helps you to do. It reprograms, rewires your hard drive to allow you to stay focused and concentrated on the positive things of life instead of allowing the negatives to overcome your daily ins and outs of what's happening in your life.
So you may have just answered this question, but for the audience, I just have to ask you, does hypnotism change a person's personality in any way so that they will appear to be noticeably different to others? Okay,
great question. And again, what you see on TV and in the movies, that's we can think in those terms that, that person's personality has just changed from good to bad, right? Or good to evil, or however they project those things on TV. And they do it instantly and dramatically, and it's like, wow, okay, that was hypnotism. Well, the reality of that is, look, any time you focus on positive change, just like, here's the example I'm going to give you. Just like when you go into prayer and you talk directly to God, what's going to happen when you come out of that prayer session? Your personality, your whole demeanor, your whole physical body is going to change. So with hypnotism, same thing, because you're focused on a change, or you're focused on a positive to allow that process to take place within your physiological body. And so absolute positively, your personality, and it's going to become noticeably different to others almost instantly. And again, I'll give you another example for maybe it was a little too deep or heavy for some people. It's like listening to an old song that you have great memories with back in high school. and you haven't heard the song in a long time, and you're having a bad day, and you're on your way to work, and then the song comes on the radio, and then what happens to your body? What happens to your being? What happens to your whole process? It changes instantly just because of a song, right? Because your mind is accessing those memories, and it's accessing that time, place, and the moment you heard that song, and how it brought that great joy, that great experience to your body. And so that's exactly what hypnotism does as well. It does change your physiological body and presence for the good.
Wow. So renew your mind. I mean, that comes up to me. Renew your mind daily. Is that what self-hypnosis is?
Yes, absolutely, positively. Again, self-hypnosis is like praying. You're getting into the zone. Again, however you want to label that. I use general terms. Again, especially with athletes, that they always call it the zone. Especially basketball players, when they're making those free throws, they want to be able to focus, concentrate on that basket, and get the ball in, because on the other side of that net is the opposing team, and they're trying to distract them. And so they want to stay in that zone. Runners call it a runner's high. Everybody has a label for it. And so, yes, once you're in that place, that's that higher awareness, getting in touch with your higher power, staying in that place.
So we just got to know, Kevin, be honest with us. What kinds of things do the celebrities come to you to fix that goes beyond weight and smoking?
Right. Yes. Here's the $1 million answer to the $1 million question, because people are all curious about what the celebrities do and don't do, and because they all think that they're different, and they think that they, have these abilities and all of these things. And here's the simple answer, and that simple answer is their issues are just like anybody else. Because guess what? We're all created equal by our ultimate higher power of God, and they have the same issues as anybody else. It's the same thing. It doesn't change. And I think that's why I became this Hollywood hypnotist guy, because I just see people as equal, just as God does. And everyone is the same. It doesn't matter where you live. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter what's really happening. God has created us to be the same. And so they come to me just like anyone else with the same issues of what people are thinking about right now listening to this program, or even what you might be thinking about, Alise, of what's happening in your life. And so those are the same things that I thought about as well, and continuously work on or have completed in my life, because I'm a human being and we're all created equal.
Wow.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Let it out. Let it out.
Yes. Indeed. So I mean, it's just common stuff. There's nothing unique or offbeat. It's all the same. We all have the same issues of stress, anxiety, weight, or abuse in some way, which would be smoking, drugs, alcohol. We all have these challenges of the temptations of the world, and when we step over those boundary lines, we need the tools to help us to get back to center point. And so, number one, the most ultimate higher power you can ever get in touch with, which we've been discussing periodically through this program, is God himself in your spirituality and your relationship with Christ. Number two, you have to find some tools that God has given us in this world to facilitate those things. Just like a surgeon, he has an amazing gift to be a surgeon, anointed and appointed by God, but he knows that he can't perform that surgery without the higher power of God, because it's really in God's hands of what's going to happen in God's plan to that individual once they're in surgery. And it's the same thing with hypnosis. Hypnosis is the tool. It's a natural, organic process that is available to all of us. Unfortunately, through time and space and everything, just like everything, you can take a good and you can make it a bad. And so hypnosis has received a very bad name many, many years ago, that it was the dark arts, it was dark, it was this, because, again, ignorance allows people to think in a negative way. When one doesn't know enough about something and doesn't educate themselves about something, like I talk about in the beginning of the program, I think everyone should make those choices to really explore everything that God puts before them. I think it's our duty, our responsibility, and to really understand them instead of going and basing your thoughts and your ideas on other concepts of other people's ideas. So movies, television, all that, books, again, find out for yourself what the truth is and pray on it, and God will reveal that information to you. And so it's the same thing with hypnotism. It is a tool. It is a technique that God has given us to facilitate change in our life. That behavior change, because again, like I mentioned, all behavior is learned behavior. So once you learn the behavior, good or bad, and the mind doesn't know what that is, by the way. Mind doesn't think for itself. So once you program that into your mind, and there's a magic number they came up with back in the 50s, it's a magic number of number 21. Once you establish something 21 times in a row, it's now a conditioned reflex. It's now a known inside of your brain, and so now you're automatically doing it. So let me give you an example on that, Alise. Right now I'm going to mention something, and then you're going to be focused on that. Everybody who's listening to this program is going to focus on it all of a sudden and go, I didn't realize it was happening. But it happens because it makes you live. And so that one thing I want to mention right now is called your breathing. So you didn't even think about breathing, did you, until I just mentioned it. Now your mind is processing that language I just spoke to it, right? Breathing allows us to live, but we don't think about it. It's an automatic response that happens within our physiological body. And so that's my example to you as the things that happen in our lives that we don't even realize is happening. And so hypnosis is able to decipher that information and help us to really understand, is it positive or negative? And if it's negative, I need to get rid of it because it's not helping me enhance my life to do what I want to do. And so that's what hypnosis does.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing it with us. I really like how you are putting God, the Spirit, the great divine, whatever your faith may be, if you're listening to our show today, that's the most important thing. And that's why we are so big on asking our guests, at what point did your intuition kick in? Because we know that intuition is that part of where God communicates with you to let you know on how you need to proceed. So thank you so much for sharing it with us.
You're welcome. Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me and to, again, educate and uplift and inspire the listeners of your amazing program to really explore themselves and to seek out the tools to help them enhance their lives to achieve their goals.
Kevin, did you just hypnotize us?
Well, I'm not going to say.
I love your energy. It's so beautiful. Before we end and go to a commercial, can you tell us how can we get in touch with you?
All right. It's so simple to get in touch with me. My website is www.hypnotist.com. And all you do is put that into your web browser, whatever browser you're on, and you'll find me. And there's a lot of great information on that website on hypnosis, how to do the applications of hypnosis. And I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do today, Alise, because, again, I love your energy as well. I love what's happening with this program and what you're doing and how you're putting back into our society and helping people to really get in touch with their higher power, their intuition, and understanding the tools that they need in their lives. So you're a very, very instrumental program to help people to do that. And everyone who finds this program will get that information, not only from today's program, but I'm sure you have a lot of amazing, wonderful guests on. And so what I'm going to do today is if people email me, and you can go to the website, hypnotist.com, email me and let me know that you listen to this program, the Alise Spiritual Healing and Wellness Center program. I'm going to give them, and they can download, which is a $75 value, my self-hypnosis CD. But they have to put in the comment box that they heard this program, and this offer is going to be available for 48 hours. And anytime they just put that in there and say, I listened to the program, and give comments of what they liked, didn't like, all of that stuff, it doesn't matter. They're going to get my free self-hypnosis. They can learn the technique of taking themselves in and out of hypnosis to make changes in their life.
Thank you so much, Kevin. What a gift. So, guys,
Absolutely.
If you're listening, you can put in the Alise Spiritual Healing and Wellness Center or the Alise Intuition Radio Show. So thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Absolutely, positively. Again, that's my gift back, my contribution back, not only to your audience, but again, helping people to help themselves become their personal best, to get where they need to go.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show, Kevin. You know, I think we're going to have you as a friend of the show. Your energy is amazing. Our audience loves you. And, you know, if there's anything that we can help you do in furthering your mission, just let us know, okay?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I appreciate everything, and you all have an amazing, blessed day.
We're going to take a short break. When we come back, I will share some messages with you from the angels and the spirit. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Learn the